Nothing but truth.
Welcome back. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, probably on AFR Talk. Our guest, Professor Bruce Thornton, Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institution, Senior Research Fellow at the Hoover Institution. And, Professor, we had gotten to a point where we talked about, I brought up Iran and Saudi Arabia, obviously throw in Pakistan, but thinking Saudi Arabia because of the Sunni Shia divide and the concerns, also the chief producer of Wahhabism, so a fomenter of Wahhabism. So bottom line, nuclear age, strong horse, weak horse. You were talking about the strong horse in Islam historically and what it means. Strength is through force and brutal force. Okay. What happens when it is, well, what does that say of the weak horse? And what happens when that force is not met with severe resistance?
Well, what you get is an estimation of us when we do that. Not that, wow, these guys, they're superior. They solve their conflicts by negotiation and give and take and et cetera. But they don't think that. They think, gee, you guys are weak. You're not using force because you're afraid. You're doing it out of fear. You're relying on these non-lethal mechanisms, whether that be sanctions or whatever, because you really don't want to put it to the test, put your values to the test, your principles to the test, your beliefs to the test, and show that you're willing to kill and die for them, because we're willing to kill and die for us. They tell us that all the time, don't they? They say, you love life and we love death. And that goes back to the 7th century A.D., by the way. So from their perspective, what we always project in this case is weakness, and weakness invites more aggression. Traditionally, as Islamic armies spread, and this happened, you see it in Spain and everywhere, is they send out raiding parties and they test resistance. They raid, they plunder, they take some slaves. They see what sort of resistance there is. They see if there is a counterattack. They see if there's anybody who's willing to risk their lives to stop them. And then if they don't, then they go farther. And so we don't understand mentality. And we think, oh, that's old-fashioned, that's medieval, you're just making that up, But it's proven by their behavior. And let me quickly give you a great example.
All right, about 2 minutes. Go ahead.
After the United States, for a brief moment, recovered its nerve and took the Taliban out of Afghanistan and went into Iraq and got rid of Hussein, two things happened. One, Muammar Gaddafi said, hey, I don't want my nuclear weapons anymore. Come and get them. Two, Syria had been occupying Lebanon for 30 years and Syria left. Now your pinheads in the State Department and the intellectuals will say, oh, that wasn't because of George Bush and the war in Iraq. That was for this, that. No. They saw what happened to Hussein. They saw him dragged out of a hole, hanged by his enemies and spit upon, and they said, okay, right, we don't want anything to do with that. And we squandered that, and pretty soon we were back to our old selves, squabbling, fighting, criticizing, pulling our punches, talking about, building schools and democracy and all that stuff instead of finishing the fight. And then you got the attacks again and the uptick in violence. So very quickly, imagine a country nuclear armed with that attitude, like Iran. You say, well, Pakistan's nuclear. Pakistan's facing a much larger, more powerful India. It knows if it fools around, India will wipe it out. There's no balance like that to Iran, except for Israel, right? And you're right. That means Saudi Arabia is going to do whatever it can, and it's got the oil money to do it, to get nuclear weapons too. And then if you think it's a tinderbox now, you just wait till you have 3 or 4 nuclear-armed powers in that region.
Well, you've wrapped it up beautifully, and you've put the fear of the Almighty in us, and rightfully so. But Professor Thornton, what you are saying, and you're doing it very well because you're using history and you're explaining it, but you're saying we need to wake up, and that's exactly what you address in The Wages of Appeasement, Ancient Athens, Munich, and Obama's America. And I just wish I had, more time with you, pal. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
My pleasure,
Thank you.
Frank.
Take care.
You bet.
All right. Brain Durham's Nothing But Truth. We are out of time, and I think you're glad we stuck with Professor Thornton, yes? Live with honor in your life, compassion in your heart, and always keep the faith in Jesus Christ. Know that God knows you, God loves you. He created you, you're worth it. And wherever you are, He loves you right where you're at. I say it as a disciple in progress. You're a dip, you betcha. And I'm pointing it up and saying thank you for God's grace. Do me a favor. Go to the Facebook page. Tell me the question you would ask God if you could receive a direct answer. And also, prayer tomorrow with Aaron Free. AFR Talk.